thing these were all 50% off. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. I released part 1 of this 3-part summer Blu-ray haul last week, and now it's time for part 2. While part 1 had a mix of standard releases, this second part is going to consist exclusively of Criterion Collection movies. These were all purchased in July during the Barnes & Noble 50% off sale, which is always my go-to when it comes to buying Criterions. And I think I got a pretty eclectic mix here. Definitely have a lot of genres and years covered, and I also have a mix of films that I've seen before and ones that are blind buys. Be sure to check out the description of this video for links to buy all of the Criterions I'm going to be talking about. They're affiliate links, and I earn a small commission if you buy anything using them, so I'd really appreciate it if you would use them. I'm going to go through these in alphabetical order rather than by spine number, because it's just a little bit easier to keep track of in a video like this. Alright, so let's take a look at these Criterions. First up, we've got Bicycle Thieves. So this is spine number 374, and this is a film that I have seen before. I've seen it a couple times, semi-recently. I rewatched it, but I also saw this back when I was taking film classes in both high school and college. So this is directed by Vittorio De Sica, and it's an Italian film, kind of Italian neorealism, and it's a very heavy film. It's not a particularly happy story. And so basically what's going on in this movie is there's this guy and his family, his wife and his son, and they're living in poverty in post-war Italy. And he is very much dependent on his bicycle to do his job, to have work to provide for his family, and his bike gets stolen. And so the majority of this movie is kind of about him and his son and a few of his friends trying to find this missing bike. And so it's sort of this tragic, kind of somber story that isn't anything action-intensive or anything, but it's a very interesting look at what people do and like what people are capable of in times of need. So I'm glad to finally pick this one up. I don't know why I didn't have this before now, but now I do have it. Next up, we've got Bringing Up Baby. So this is the classic screwball comedy, newly included in the Criterion Collection. So this is spine number 1085. But the film itself is obviously quite a bit older, 1938, I believe. And it stars Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn as this very poorly matched pair of people who kind of meet and get stuck with each other. And they have to take care of not only deal with each other, but also take care of Baby, the titular baby here, which is not a human baby, but instead a leopard. And so it's a wild, kind of wacky movie, as most screwball comedies are. Kind of goofy, but it's fun. Directed by Howard Hawks, and again, kind of one of these classic screwball comedies. This is one that I have seen before, so another rewatch for me when I get around to checking out the Criterion version. But I'm glad that this finally made it into the Criterion Collection and finally made it onto Blu-ray in general. Next up, we have got Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So this is one that I have no excuse for not having seen before, but I have, in fact, not seen this yet. And so this is directed by Amy Heckerling and includes a bit of an ensemble cast and a lot of people that are in movies now, right? A lot of people who were very young teenagers when this movie came out, you know, people like Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and so this is supposed to be kind of one of those very influential high school movies and a very good look, or I guess cinematic look at what life for teenagers was like in the 80s. And so this is, again, a movie that I have heard so much about for so long. I don't actually know anything specific about it other than I know the name Spicoli, so I know that that's the main character here, and Sean Penn's character. And so I know a few things about the story, but I'm glad to finally have this and finally be able to watch it. So this is Spy Number 1075. So again, another fairly new addition to the Criterion collection. Next up, we've got Hiroshima Mon Amore. And so this is an older film, been in the Criterion collection for a while, Spy Number 196. And so this one is a 1959 film, and is sort of this slower film. So this is one I have not seen before, but I know that it is sort of this non-linear story and sort of this relationship between a man and a woman in kind of post-war Japan, when they're sort of reminiscing on their lives and they're having a conversation, and so it kind of flashes back to their individual lives, and they're basically discussing a lot of things about life and about the war and all sorts of things. And so this is one that the name has been very familiar to me, but I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. And so when I spotted this one during the sale, I was like, I gotta get this one finally and watch it. So I'm looking forward to finally seeing this. Next up, we've got Memories of Murder. So this one's directed by Bong Joon-ho. Films from 2003, but this is another new addition to the Criterion collection, Spy Number 1073. So this is a film that I have seen before, though not, I've only recently, or semi-recently, first seen it. The beginning of this year, back in January, maybe February, I finally watched it. Because for whatever reason, in the Neon, the studio or distributor, Neon, their screener DVD pack that they sent out to critics this year included Memories of Murder for some reason. And I'm not really sure why, because those for your consideration screeners are for new movies, and this is not a new movie, but I watched it as a result, but I really enjoyed it. And so when Criterion announced that they were going to be releasing it too, I was super excited and couldn't wait to get it. And I can't wait to watch the special features and just to watch the film again, because it's a really interesting kind of police procedural murder mystery based on a real life serial killer and a real life unsolved mystery. And so this was a very good movie, and definitely one I suggest to anybody who likes that kind of thing, especially if you were a fan of like Parasite, different type of story, different type of movie by the same director, but this is definitely one to take a look at if you're kind of interested in getting into some more of his movies. Next up, we've got Nightmare Alley. So this is Spy Number 1078. So again, another new inclusion in the Criterion collection, but it's an older film from 1947. And so this stars Tyrone Power, and basically it's kind of this about a circus and kind of this noir story, almost kind of like a carnival noir. So I haven't seen this one. It's another one I have heard about quite a bit, but actually my main reason, to be honest, as to why I wanted to get this one is because I know that Guillermo del Toro is going to be directing a new adaptation of this film that, as of right now, at least, is supposed to come out in December of this year. And so this is based on a book. And so Del Toro's version, I don't think is supposed to be a remake of this, but rather a new adaptation of the same story. But I wanted to be able to watch this one ahead of that, just so I kind of had an idea and a sense of what that story is going to be about. So, to be honest, that's the main reason why I wanted to get this. But again, it's one that I have heard of for quite a while and had been meaning to get around to, so it's a good excuse for that. Next up, we've got Paths of Glory. So this is a movie that I have seen before, and another really good one. So Spy Number 538. And this movie came out in 1957. And is a surprisingly short film. And so this is kind of this blend of a war movie, but also sort of a courtroom drama, or at least a courtroom procedural. It's basically a military trial story, but it's surprisingly engaging. And so it's about basically these soldiers who were ordered to do something that was impossible. And so some of them, including their commanding officers, disobeyed orders in order to stay alive, right? They were ordered to do something that nobody was able to do, and so everybody came back and retreated. But random people were selected to be the ones that were kind of the scapegoats, or the ones that were going to have an example made of them. And so this story kind of explores, what's kind of going on with the military, and who's actually in charge, who should bear the brunt of mistakes or of issues when it comes to sort of military things. And it's also just a very interesting look at humanity and kind of how people respond to those types of blunders and errors and just bad situations. So this is a really good movie. This is one that I had heard a lot about back when I first watched it, but wasn't really excited for. But then when I actually saw it, I was blown away. So it's one I've been meaning to pick up for a while. Haven't for some reason, but glad that I finally have it, and I can't wait to rewatch it. Speaking of pickups, next one here is Pickup on South Street. So this is another fairly new Blu-ray release for the Criterion collection. However, it has been in the collection for a while, just not on Blu-ray. So it's spy number 224. And so this came out in 1953. It's directed by Samuel Fuller. This is one that I have not seen, so this is a blind buy. But I like Fuller's other movies, and this one looked really interesting. Basically, we've got a guy who's a pickpocket, and he takes something from somebody, and in doing so, ends up kind of wrapping himself up into this really broader issue and broader kind of conspiracy. And so he kind of unknowingly ends up in a worse situation than he probably would have expected from just a general pickpocket situation. And so, looking forward to this. It's surprisingly short, 80 minutes. So there are a few Criterion movies that I have that are also really short, but this one, some of these noir stories are, for whatever reason, extremely short. But looking forward to checking this one out. It's one that I hadn't really heard of before Criterion announced that they were going to be releasing it, so hopefully it's good. I tend to like these shorter noirs from them, and so I'm looking forward to watching it. And then we've got Secrets and Lies. So this is another fairly new Criterion release, so spy number 1070. But the movie came out in 1996, and it seems to be kind of like an interesting family drama sort of deal. Basically, there's this woman who was adopted when she was young, doesn't know anything about her birth parents, and so she goes, as an adult, she goes out to kind of just search for her birth mother, only to find out that her birth mother was actually a white woman. And so it becomes this thing about her kind of grappling, the daughter grappling with her identity and kind of who she is and who she always thought she was and what that means, and also with the mother grappling with the fact that this, her kid that she put up for adoption is kind of back in her life, and how that's going to affect her family, the rest of her family, and what she's been doing for the last 20 or 30 years. So it's one I haven't seen, but it sounded really interesting. It seemed like one that could get into some unique family drama, some unique concepts about identity and about one's family, and so curious to check this one out. Alright, so that was part 2 of my summer 2001 Blu-ray haul. Be sure to check back for part 3 of this haul next week when I talk about my Kino Lorber pickups, and make sure to watch part 1 here if you haven't done so already. Again, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying any of the Blu-rays I showed you today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. Also, I want to know, what Criterions did you buy during the 50% off sale? Let me know your thoughts and all your Blu-ray pickups in the comments below. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this haul video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe or add it to see more videos like this, as well as movie reviews. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.